Hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Great to be with you. It's Thursday night, August 8th, 2024. It's 11:20 p.m. Whether you're with me now, 11:20 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for being with me. Really do appreciate that. Let's jump right into this, all right? So our topic for the whole week, starting with Saturday and ending tomorrow, is understanding why emotional intelligence is important. Tonight's granular topic which we will get to in just a second. First, I just want to say welcome to everyone. Welcome to everyone that's joining us. Even some of the people, I think some of our Instagram people are just joining us in. So welcome. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and you are tuned into Inspirations for Your Life. Our weekly topic is understanding why emotional intelligence is important. And the granular topic is understanding social skills. And this is part one. So that's, I think, going to be pretty interesting because there's going to be a part two, which will be part of tomorrow, and then they'll be a little longer because we've got some more to cover, including a summary of the wrap up of the week. Understanding social skills, part one. So first one is part of that is self-awareness. Now, we've talked about self-awareness before, haven't we? Sure we have. So self-awareness is when we involving ourselves to understand our own thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. It's key to our personal development. If we don't have it, well, then that can be a detriment. I think that could be a big detriment, and it can hurt a lot of people. So I think that's very important that you understand what it is and that you take time, I guess, to appreciate it. That's probably the most important thing I can say to you is that take time to appreciate it, because when you take time to appreciate it, it's like the world opens up. The world is your oyster, right? All right. So the second point, communication. No communication, ladies and gentlemen, is communication. All right. So that's very important to know. No communication is communication, right? Pretty easy to understand. All right. When about communication, we're talking about the transmission of information from us to another person and from them to us. So that entails two parts. One, being the listener, so we can listen to what they're saying. Two, being the speaker and being able to say our thoughts succinctly in a clear manner that is articulated well and is able to transfer the feeling as well as the meaning to what we want. All right. So that's important there. So communication is key with everything in life. The next one that I want to talk about is conflict resolution. Oh, that's a real mouthful, isn't it? Yeah. Conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution? So conflict resolution is something that's been around for a very, very long time. Conflict resolution deals with a key part in our life, methods or processes that we use to facilitate peaceful endings of a conflict. It's inevitable in people's lives that there's going to be some conflict, whether we want it or not. But conflict is actually a stepping stone for us. It helps us to become a better version of ourselves. It helps others to become better versions of themselves. So conflict resolution and problem solving is really what we call it. It allows us to get a perspective of taking in what's going on and resolving conflicts and solving problems collaboratively by understanding the viewpoints of others, not just our own. Conflict resolution is a natural part of any relationship. The ability to resolve conflicts in a constructive manner is a crucial social key. A lot of people think, well, I can do this, I can do whatever I want, but you have to realize that other people in the world too. So I think we have to understand what that means and why somebody should be understanding why somebody should be able to deal with that. And it's not easy. I think a lot of people is someone that doesn't quite get it, right? And so by me saying don't get it, I'm talking about how our lives, okay, are basically able to pivot They pivot because of a perception that we have. They pivot because of an awareness that we suddenly get. It could be something that we know or something that we don't know. But when it happens, it's like our life changes. And it changes on a dime, but we don't always know how or when or why something is going to change, right? We just don't know that. And I think if we can understand that, then maybe our lives can be a lot better, right? I think they could be better because when they're better, I think people are able to get a different perspective. Okay. And it is about us and then understanding where we are and where we're going. I think sometimes that slight shift, okay, I don't mean a full shift, but a slight shift, it can make the difference to whether we're successful or whether we're not successful. Now, that sounds kind of interesting, doesn't it? A lot of people, they fret. Uh, and I think the reason they fret is because they don't necessarily know why things are going a certain way. All right. And the reason they're going a certain way is just because of a thought, because of where we are at the current moment in time. Right. And I think that comes down to the fact that we need to understand perceptions. No one else can understand what you probably are going through unless you can really understand that bridge. Okay. And that moment might seem like something that is so hard because you're wondering, how do you get from this side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge when really the bridge is not very far? The bridge might only be, I don't know, could be 1,500 feet, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter. And getting over that bridge for some is a snap, right? It's like a cakewalk. Other people get hung up, and they get hung up because of a perception they have. And that perception cripples them. Okay. A conflict resolution, and a good way to agree with a conflict resolution is to agree to disagree. We all have our rights to agree and to disagree. Okay. That's completely our choice. Where the problem comes in is where people don't understand why something is going a certain way. Why? And the why is not something that we do to make it hard for ourselves. It's something that gets put in our way because we get fearful, right? Fearful, false evidence appearing real. And we get fearful, and then we go into this conflict mode because, oh my gosh, change is going to happen. What does that mean for me? Like, what am I going to do? And so when we're able to realize that the change is going to help us and that we're going to be okay, just like taking one step over the bridge at a time, one step over the bridge, one step over the bridge, one step over the bridge, and realize that we're fine, we suddenly will realize that the conflict goes away. Now, sometimes conflict doesn't go away because the conflict is by another person. Now, when the conflict is by another person, it's a lot harder than when the conflict is just within ourselves, right? That's first thing. Social awareness. This is a real big pillar. Social awareness is when we're able to put ourselves in the shoes of another person. I like to call this compassion. Empathy is understanding, and compassion is putting ourselves in the shoes and basically wanting to take the step and help them. Okay. Maybe they're from a different culture, a different way of life. And the same principles that are taught before about social awareness that you've heard from me are also at work. in building relationships, teaching students to treat others the right way, learning that we need to share at a young age. These are all things that we're taught. But if they're forced down people's throats when they're young, they're going to rebel. So you have to let people, let's say, figure it out. You can give them some guidance, but you can't like push them down the ladder. You can't push them down the slide. You have to wait until they're ready to go down the slide on their own. There's none of this, you put them on the slide and like, I'm going to push you down. If you're not ready, well, too bad. No, that's not how this works. This works in a manner that is going to help you when you're ready, when you just feel like, you can take that extra step. When you take the extra step, then it's like the world changes. But you've got to feel comfortable, and you've also got to know that you got to push that envelope just a little bit further. The last one I want to talk about tonight is responsibility. This is a real big one, ladies and gentlemen, responsibility. So responsibility is really key. It's taking care of others and or their properties. It's also a social skill where you do what you say you're going to do. I'll give you an example. Maybe you told a friend of yours that you're going to be at their house at a certain time to pick up the mail every day because they're on vacation. Or maybe you promised your friend that, when something happens or something like this comes up at your job, you're going to let them know. Those are things that are promises, right? But responsibility and accountability, right? So people always ask me, John, because this is a very confusing question, and this comes up to me a lot. What is the difference between accountability and responsibility? Okay, so responsibility is about the task. Every person on a team, and they may be responsible for a given task that's required to complete a large project. Accountability is what happens after the situation has occurred. It is how you respond and take ownership over the results. So responsibility is that everybody has a certain task or job they need to do. Accountability is what happens. So that we take ownership of what happens and why it happens. So I think when we have responsibility, we generally will want to have accountability. That's usually how it goes. And so thinking about this is a very big pillar. A lot of people don't learn responsibility. Yes, many people never learn responsibility. And there's a reason for that. They don't take personal responsibility for how their life turns out, and they blame everyone and anything around them for the circumstances that they created. Others will take responsibility for their lives, and some won't. That doesn't mean that they don't take responsibility for their share. It's really just meaning that they're not taking responsibility for their life. So there's different parts of responsibility. You could be responsible at the office. You could be responsible at home. You could be responsible in a relationship. But some people responsibility for them is just not like something they want. So people avoid responsibility because they're afraid of bad outcomes. Or they may have done something that, let's say, has caused something that they don't like. And each is unique, but it all comes down to a feeling that if you've caused a bad outcome, it makes them feel that they're a bad person, and they could be punished and stigmatized in a way for that in other people's eyes. So this is why people are not willing to put their line out there or put their neck on the line or their butt on the line, because they don't understand what it is they need to do. And that's why someone won't want to be responsible or accountable, because they don't know. So you have to train somebody to make sure they understand what they're doing before you can actually expect them to be responsible and accountable. Remember, responsible deals with the particular task. Like if I asked you guys to sell tickets to a play, you have a responsibility to do that. And each person has to sell so many tickets that's in the play. The accountability is that we are going to make a profit if we all don't sell the number of tickets we're supposed to sell each. Well, then we're all accountable for the fact that we didn't make a profit this year for the show. All right, guys, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It has been an amazing privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. I hope you'll like, love, and support the channel. Comment below, tag your friends, colleagues, associates, and share this out with everyone you know on social media. And then be sure to follow me on TikTok and all my other great content. Check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creation. I just noticed my hat was off there for a second. I can just flip that on for you guys can see it. So my hat says believe me achieve.com. And I hope you guys understand that knowledge is not something you just do one day or you take a vacation from. You never take a vacation from knowledge. You just never, ever do that. And the reason you don't take a vacation from knowledge is if you do, the knowledge will stop building. And if you stop building, then you start losing value for the purpose that you have in life. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your evening. I'll be here tomorrow night to wrap everything all up with you. Take care and be well, everyone.